I'm excited to do this review today. I know it's one you guys have been waiting on. We're going to take a look at Redbreast Missouri Oak. Welcome to 4 Leaf Whiskey. I'm pretty excited to review this one today. This is the latest in the Redbreast series. This is Redbreast Missouri Oak. First of all, a big thank you to my buddy Tyler for supplying me with a sample of the Redbreast Missouri Oak so I could do this review for everybody. This one is the second in the wood series that they've been doing featuring American woods, the first being Kentucky Oak. This one is finished in Missouri Oak that was harvested from the Ozark Forest. They took that wood and they took it to Kelvin Cooperage in Kentucky, and Kelvin Cooperage crafted the casks. Now, this has been finished for 10 months in those Missouri Oak casks. This one is 50.5% ABV. I already noticed it's a little darker than the Kentucky Oak. I wasn't a fan of that one. I found it lacking. It was okay, but it just didn't come across strong enough for me. It didn't have that Redbreast DNA. But I'm really excited to try this one. This one is available in the US right now. It just came out in the past couple months. It's making its way across the US. If it's not in your state yet, it probably will be before too long. First thing I notice on this one is it's really oily. I think this is oilier than the Kentucky Oak release. I am seeing the tears on the glass pretty pronounced. So two things I'm getting from the nose of this. The first is I do get that Redbreast single pot still. You're getting a little bit of kind of that figginess, the berries. I'm getting a lot of apple, like a baked apple. Getting some baking spice, kind of like an allspice. So that single pot still is coming through. But the other thing that I'm noticing about this is it does come off like a bourbon on the nose. I'm getting a lot of vanilla. I'm getting cherries. And that's not something I always get with an Irish this pronounced. It is really pronounced on the nose. But we're going in. Sláinte. So two words describe the palate of this whiskey. And that is sugar and spice. The front palate, first thing you're hit with is sugar and honey and vanilla. A little bit of kind of a cherry, not really a strawberry, more like a cherries and cream. Then I'm getting a hit mid palate with a lot of spice, Cinnamon's the first thing that comes to mind, and then also it almost devolves in kind of like a black pepper. On the finish, that spice dies off, and I'm getting kind of like a nutmeg, and that oak comes through. Really, on the finish, it reminds me kind of like a double oaked bourbon. I think the Woodford Reserve would be the closest that just instantly that comes to mind is the Woodford double oaked. Kind of reminds me on the finish of kind of like a Woodford double oaked. The front palate and mid palate is Irish. That comes through as very Irish, but that finish is more indicative of kind of like a Woodford double oaked. So I don't have Kentucky Oak, but I do have another Irish Virgin Oak single pot still that I want to compare this to. All right, so I don't have Redbreast Kentucky Oak, but I pulled out Teeling Wonders of Wood Portuguese Virgin Oak. Now these are not exactly the same. The Redbreast is obviously finished in American Virgin Oak, whereas the Teeling's finished in a European Virgin Oak. They're also not the same mash bill. Teeling is a 50-50 blend of unmalted to malted barley. Redbreast, assuming this is a typical Redbreast DNA, it's a little heavier on the malted barley side than unmalted barley. They're very similar ABV though. This one is 50%. I believe the Redbreast is 50.1%. So it'll still give us a kind of an idea of how this compares to other whiskeys. So the nose are quite different. So the nose of the Teeling is coming off more like tobacco. There's almost a little bit of a smoky note to it. It's very rich, very leathery, very tobacco. The nose of the Redbreast is sweet. I am getting the apple on there and the cherry, and it's coming off more like a double oaked bourbon. Yeah, the palate of the Teeling is that tobacco, kind of like more of apricot, or like an apricot jam. There's a lot of vanilla, a lot of sugar on this one, but there's a lot of spice too. I actually think the finish might be shorter. So there's some similarities to where it does hit sweet front palate, then spicy mid palate. The tealing is spicier throughout the finish. The finish is still going, but I'm still getting that spice. I'm still getting what is spicy, like a nutmeg spice all the way through it. So that one, I'm not getting that actual oak note. I mean, it's a little, there's a hint of it, but it's not nearly as pronounced as the Missouri Oak. Yeah, the Missouri Oak is sweet, and I do get that spice, but that's more, I'm getting more cinnamon and black pepper, and honestly, it's not as spicy as the tealing. The spice is, it does hit you mid-palate, but then it dies off. And it's got a nice length of finish, but that nutmeg and oak are on the finish. Whereas the tealing, that spice hits you mid-palate, and that spice lingers through the finish. They're both about the same length of finish. They're both about the same level of oiliness. It's just the tealing, it definitely has more spice going on and is more tobacco, apricot-y notes, whereas the Redbreast Missouri Oak is definitely leaning more towards into cherries and vanilla and cinnamon and bourbon-y notes. All right, so we're gonna hit on the two questions that I get asked most about Redbreast Missouri Oak. Is it good? Is it worth the MSRP? Is it good? Yes, this is an exceptional whiskey from Redbreast. This is what I wish Kentucky Oak would have been. This is just full-bodied. There's a lot going on. It's got a big nose. It's got a big palate. It's got a good length of finish. You're getting that oak. I think bourbon drinkers are going to love this because it is reminiscent of bourbons. It does have aspects that do remind me of a Woodford Double Oaked, which is one of my favorite bourbons. It still retains that Irish whiskey single pot still DNA. It's still got the orchard fruits. It's still got, the vanilla. It's still got the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the baking spices. But it's got a really nice oakiness to it too. Now, is it worth the MSRP? The MSRP currently for Redbreast Missouri Oak is $199. That's going to be a decision you have to make if you feel this is worth it. Me, myself, would I pay $199 for this bottle? No, I would not. There are just too many other great bottles out there that are less. I do think it's exceptional if I come across a bottle, honestly, for $140, maybe $150. I would probably pay that much just to have it on my shelf because I do really enjoy this whiskey. I don't understand the rationale with the Kentucky Oak being right about 120 and this one being 200. Especially when you've got Redbreast PX, it's MSRP in my state of 150. I'm going to buy that one before I'm going to spend an extra $50 for this. I just don't think that this would be ranked up that much above Redbreast PX. It is probably on par with that. It is exceptional whiskey. It really, really is. If you're a bourbon drinker, I think you are really going to enjoy this one. If you do find it, in your state, I have seen instances where people in a non-control state have found this for as little as $100. If you can find this for, under 150, I don't think you'll be disappointed in adding this one to your shelf. Please like, subscribe, please comment below. Let me know if you've had Redbreast Missouri Oak and let everybody know what you think. Sláinte.